Last night, inside a dream, you were completely certain it was real until you woke up. So here's the uncomfortable question. How do you know you've woken up now? What test could you run right this second that a dream couldn't fake? Go ahead. Try. Reach for something. A sound. A memory. The weight of your own body in the chair. Notice what just happened. Every test you reach for was itself an experience. An experience is the exact thing in doubt. You tried to step outside the room to check the walls, and you never left the room. This is going to get worse before it makes sense. Stay with it anyway. Think about what a dream actually does to you. Inside one, you accept impossible things without blinking. The dead are alive again. You're somewhere you've never been, and somehow you've always lived there. Buildings bend, faces change, and you don't question any of it. Because while you're dreaming, the part of you that's supposed to scream, "This is fake," is offline. The logic holds. The fear is real. The certainty is total. So here is the first thing nobody wants to sit with. Your reality check doesn't just fail sometimes. It fails completely. And silently. You never feel it switch off. Which means the alarm you're counting on to tell you when something isn't real has already proven it can stay quiet through anything. Now hold that thought and open your eyes wider, because we're about to turn the question around. You think you see the world. You don't. What you see is your brain's model of the world, a reconstruction, built from signals that arrive late, arrive incomplete, and arrive full of gaps your brain quietly fills in with its best guess. The color you're looking at right now? Rendered. Depth, solidity, the sense that things are out there and not in here? Rendered. None of it is received. All of it is built. And here's what that means. Your brain builds a convincing world every single night with no input from outside at all. No light, no sound, nothing coming in. And it still produces a world you believe in completely. During the day, it runs the exact same machine. It just lets in a thin trickle of data to decorate the construction. The mechanism is identical. The only difference is the source material. Let that land. Waking and dreaming aren't two different processes. They're the same process, working with different supplies. But we're not done dismantling this, because there's something even stranger about the moment you're living in. You are always living in the past. By the time anything reaches your awareness, it has already happened. Your brain gathered the signals, stitched them together, smoothed the seams, and then handed the finished story to you, labeled live. The present you feel is a broadcast on a delay. And this is the part that should make your skin go cold. You have never once experienced the present moment. Not today, not as a child, not in your entire life. Everything you have ever called now was already a memory by the time you met it. A reconstruction your brain edited into the shape of the present and presented as if it were happening this instant, which is exactly what a dream is. A story narrated after the fact that feels like it's happening now. You've been living inside that same trick with your eyes open. So follow where this goes. If you never touch the present and you never see the world directly, then what exactly have you ever had access to? Only this, only experience. Every piece of evidence you have ever held for the outside world arrived as an experience inside your own mind. The proof of the room is a feeling of the room. The proof of another person is your rendering of them. You have never touched reality. You have only ever touched your brain's version of it, and you cannot step outside your own consciousness to check whether anything out there is real, because the checking would also happen inside. Try it now. Reach out and touch something solid. Press your hand flat against it. Feel how undeniably, stubbornly real it is. Now notice where that feeling lives. That sense of realness is happening entirely inside your head. It's a sensation your brain generates and attaches, like a stamp, to whatever it decides to trust. It is the exact same stamp it puts on your dreams. Sit with that. The feeling of real is not coming from the object. It's coming from you, and you give it away in your sleep without hesitation. So the one instrument you have always trusted to tell the difference between real and not real produces the same reading in both. It cannot be the thing that distinguishes them, because it shows up identically in each. Feeling real is not evidence of being real. It never was. Stop. Notice what you've been doing this whole time. Every time I asked how you know this is real, you reached for proof, a sensation, a memory, the solidity of the floor under your feet. But all of those are experiences. You've been trying to verify consciousness, using consciousness. You're a witness called to vouch for yourself, swearing you're telling the truth, with no one else in the room. And this is where the question you started with quietly changes into something far worse. You came here asking, is this a dream? But trace it all the way down. The reason a dream is so convincing is that it's made of pure experience, and so is waking life. Strip away the assumption that there's a world out there, and what's left is identical in both consciousness, generating a world, stamping it real, with no way to check its own work. So the question was never whether this is a dream. The question underneath it is this: everything you have ever known, every person you've loved, every place you've stood, every moment that ever moved you, has only ever existed as experience inside your consciousness. You have never had access to anything else. You never will. The dream was just the one time you got to watch the machine working, because for once, you woke up and caught it in the act. This was never about dreams. It's about the one prison no one escapes, the inside of your own mind. And this isn't a problem we'll solve with better technology. It's not a limit of instruments. It's a limit of logic. Any proof you could ever find for an outside world would itself have to arrive as one more experience on the inside. Every window you have ever looked through was a screen, and the screen is the only thing you have ever actually seen. Here's the part there's no comfortable way to say. It doesn't matter whether the world out there is real, because you will live your entire life on the inside of the rendering. Either way, real or dreamed, you never touch the thing itself. You only ever get the experience of it, which means the warmth of someone you love, the sound of their voice, the feeling of being held. You have never experienced any of it directly, only your brain's version. You have spent your whole life one single layer away from everything you have ever cared about, and there is no way to close that gap. There never was. So if a dream and waking life are both just experiences your mind renders and stamps as real, then real was never a property of the world at all. It was only ever a feeling, and feelings can be wrong. You came here asking if you might be dreaming. The real answer is stranger. It doesn't matter. Awake or asleep, you have only ever lived inside the story your mind tells you, and you will never once get to see what's out. So go ahead, try to wake up. There's nowhere else to open your eyes.